This is Group 12 presenting, and these are presentation slides for our project called NoHack Vote, which is an online voting system based on Ethereum blockchain. The following are my group mates: Balunga Mariam, Mirembe Jimaima, and Nauto Agatha Mwanje. Orange.
This is Mirembe Jemima presenting the introduction. A democratic system's essential principle, the right to vote, allows the entire population to voice their opinions. Voting procedures have been an area that has constantly changed. The voting mechanism has undergone efforts to increase its overall effectiveness and robustness. So this is the background. Our population selects candidates for public office through an election. The public needs to be represented by the elected officials, typically through the voting procedure. In general, a central voting authority is in charge of supervising, planning, validating, and centrally declaring the outcome of the election. So, due to the efficiency of elections as a democratic decision-making process, elections have long been a social problem because people are becoming more conscious of the importance of the voting system as more ballots are cast in elections. So the voting systems can be broadly categorized in three categories. We have the ballot-based voting system, we have the electronic-based, and then we have the online voting systems, which we'll be focusing on. So the ballot-based voting system, every authenticated person who is permitted by the voting authority would be regarded as a voter in the ballot in the system. Voters would receive ballots, which are often pieces of paper. The ballots are carried into a public location for tabulation after voting has ended. So this system has challenges, and these challenges include the counting procedure itself becomes laborious, and it's prone to mistakes, and it's easy to meddle with if the voting authorities are biased. An expensive task is setting up a ballot-based voting system. So we have the electronic-based voting machines. Electronic voting machines could make voting and tallying procedures more efficient compared to the traditional ballot-based systems. So the set of requirements for the EVMs given forth by the voting authority must be complied with, including a high level of security, privacy, accuracy, responsiveness, verifiability, accessibility, and scalability. The high implementation cost of EVMs are a significant factor in their sluggish acceptance in voting systems. Let me call my fellow Bukanya Roland to come and take on the online voting system.
All right. Yeah, the online voting system. Basically, voting can be done online via online network systems like the internet or private networks. Thanks to the online voting technologies, due to the online nature of voting systems, ballot preparation is done online, eliminating the costly requirements included in traditional ballot systems. Yeah, as it's well demonstrated in the image. So I'll just proceed to the next slide. Problem statement. There are still many issues that need to be resolved, despite the already existing online systems, such as the MAC online voting system, which came into play just a few months back, some of which include the trust, traffic, management, and security of these online systems. The ballot paper system, on the other hand, has been used for the majority of elections in Uganda, which has provided various challenges for all parties concerned, including voters, the government, and the politicians running for office. The entire voting process is time-consuming, expensive, and fraught with a mistrust on the side of all parties, which in turn may lead to chaos in the society, because of the mistrust in the elections. I'm going to also talk about the project scope. We will create the suggested decentralized online voting system based on Ethereum blockchain using the different skills of our team. Ethereum is a public blockchain network which we are going to be using in this project. So basically our solution will address the issues that plague the current voting systems, such as high costs, time wasting, mistrust, insecurity, and network traffic. This will come into play because of the peer-to-peer architecture of the blockchain network, and also distributing everything into ledgers. In light of the rise of globalization, the no vote method is designed to operate both small and large devices who will be able to use the system. So what this statement means is that the system is going to be compatible for each and every device, to be responsive, such that it will also work on mobile phones and also desktop devices. The system will be launched in a variety of iterations because blockchain is a dynamic technology with several innovations on the horizon in this emerging field. Yeah, obviously the project will have various versions. Yeah, various versions basing on the changes in the network, because technology is ever changing. Yeah. From there, I think I'll call on my other colleague, Agatha Mwanje, to take you through the literature review.
Okay, so when we go to the literature review, we carried out a review of a number of documents, among which we focused a lot on the Ugandan elections. So according to the Relief Web of 2016, we discovered there are lots of issues that have caused people to mistrust the election system in Uganda, and these include, for example, the discrepancies in the voter registration, which included duplicating of names. Some people found their names missing, and then names are registered in wrong districts. So it additionally says the voting process suffered delays and complaints of vote rigging in some stations. So from that document and a number of other sources that we used, existing system limitations include anonymous vote casting, individualized ballot processes, ballot casting verifiability by the voter, and then we also have high initial setup costs, increasing security problems. And so mechanisms that are to be deployed include prevention of evidence deletion. We have transparency with privacy. Then only eligible voters must be allowed to vote, which is very important. Then the election system should be tamper-proof. No power-hungry organization must be able to manipulate and rig the election process. So then the fact that we're using blockchain, we discovered that the requirements that blockchain satisfies include authentication, anonymity, accuracy, and verifiability. Yeah. So after carrying out our literature review, we came up with a number of research questions that we used as a basis for our project. Number one being, what limitations does blockchain voting have? Then we have, what are the advantages of blockchain voting over the traditional voting systems that have been mentioned earlier by my friends? Then what does blockchain voting look like? Then why would votes be put on blockchain? Then how can you verify identity without sacrificing anonymity? Then can everyone submit elections once they have once they have taken part in the election? Can they be able to submit results? Then how can we ensure concurrent elections given the current linear structure? Yeah, so after coming up with research questions, of course now we go to the most important part, which is setting up our research objectives. And our main objective is to develop a centralized online voting system based on the Ethereum blockchain. Breaking that down to the specific objectives, we have number one being to collect data and analyze it to better understand the system's shortcomings and unique requirements. Number two, to create a flexible and stable system, develop the system and the system design and architecture, and establish linkages between the system components. Then number three, to implement the system, dive deep into the actual coding and development of the actual system. And then lastly, to test, validate, and assess the system's usability and functionality to determine whether it addresses the identified issue. Yes, after that, we go to the research contribution. what is our contribution of blockchain in the voting system. So the blockchain is a digital, distributed and encrypted transparent ledger that, when the technologies are applied properly in the voting system, can survive manipulation and fraud. So by doing that, it guarantees maximum security. So from the images that we have provided, we state down the functional characteristics that include decentralized network, consensus, then security. And then emergent characteristics, we have the trust from the voters, then auditability, anonymity, transparency. Yeah, and then being that security is our major concern, then we break it down to see how are we addressing security, how is blockchain addressing security. So we break it down to items such as accessibility and reassurance, then we have availability and mobility, vote privacy, then we have auditability, then recoverability and identification, robustness and integrity. Yeah, plus a number of them that are listed on the image that we have provided for you. So then we move on to the next element, which is the research methodology presented by my colleague.
Okay, hello, my name is Balunga Mariam. I'm going to take you through the research methodology. So this section basically outlines the methodology we chose for our research, data collection, analysis, design, implementation, testing and validation, as well as the tools, methods and procedures and so on that we used for our research study. So the main strategy of our research are here we use the survey. We are going to use the survey research method as our main strategy for research, and under which we shall have the sampling procedure, whereby we shall follow a probability sampling method. And yes, so briefly, so this is going to be the methodology for the system design or the system development. Our goal is to provide safe digital voting while maintaining usability. So at the end of it all, we shall provide a web-based interface to encourage user interaction, grant participation rights to all voters, foster fair and healthy competition among all candidates, and safeguard voter confidentiality. So below are the steps that will be taken as part of the system design process. So we have identifying the general criteria that we shall use. We shall have technical documents and precise specifications. We shall have constructing prototypes. We know how much important prototypes are before we get into designing the general system. We shall have prototypes designed using Figma and so on. We shall have deciding on the operating system to use, whereby we have decided to use Linux. Then you have the choice of the development environment, administer the project. You have so in order to verify and test the system prototype, we shall use GitHub. So the data collection analysis. So here we are going to require qualitative data as our data type. By qualitative data, we mean the data that can be represented in terms of how should I say it? We shall use interviews, surveys, observational methods to collect this qualitative data. It is one that cannot be represented in terms of figures. So questionnaires, we all know about questionnaires. We shall use both open-ended and closed-ended questions in our questionnaires. We shall have interviews, whereby we shall interview a specific group of people, whether online, whether face-to-face or physical interviews. And then we shall use the observation techniques to observe how people are interacting with the final product. That is the hackbot. Maybe just to explain a little about the sampling method, we talked about using the probability sampling method. Now, by probability sampling method, I meant to say that we shall have to select a sample, a random sample of people. For example, we select a group of Makerere students from maybe computer science, software engineering, BIST, that will represent, for example, the entire courses. And we shall use those people, the random people we've selected, to help us collect data accordingly. Now, the expected outcomes. Now, at the end of it all, we shall have a fully designed, responsive, web-based online voting system based on Ethereum blockchain, like my colleague said, and this will enable or encourage user interaction, grant participation rights to all voters, foster fair and healthy competition among all the candidates, and safeguard voter confidentiality. So briefly, this is like a system architecture or how things will be working. We shall have a voter initiative vote, get the vote results. A voter can initiate and get vote results. A voter can register and log in, and then a voter can vote, and then the smart contract will be interacting with the blockchain in the background or in the back end. And this is our feature work. We plan to connect a fingerprint scanner to the voting system, whereby users will be authenticated using the fingerprints. Thank you for your attention. This was presented by Group 12.